But, I basically made contact with Kelly and asked about this program when I heard it was starting up, and I said, this is very interesting. I'm very curious to see what this is. I would like to be involved in some way. You know, I'll help you. The concept. I mean, it was just so unique and so close to what I wanted to do, and I really saw the benefit, and I really enjoyed the whole idea. So I really liked the idea of day training. I was wanting to do that at TIP for a while, so that was already on my mind. I was already thinking, how can I get that started there? So yeah, the whole day training, teaching classes, basically being able to do anything and everything for the client, having all these avenues of behavior, was very exciting. So I reached out to her. I didn't really have any intentions of leaving TIP. I just wanted to know if I could, you know, do some extra things here, and they ended up offering me a job and couldn't resist that. So yeah.
We're rolling whenever you want.
Okay, so I'm going to start with I arguably the hardest question.
Okay.
What does fear-free mean to you?
That is a good question. To me, it means doing everything that you possibly can to give the animal a positive experience in general. Everything that we can do to be accommodating to their needs, understand what their needs are, understand what they're saying to you, and respond appropriately to that.
And what does that look like in a veterinary clinic setting?
It can be everything from how we approach the dog when they first come into the lobby, what we offer the dog while they're in the lobby, how we position them in the lobby where they're in a space that they're comfortable with, bringing them to the exam room, doing everything we can to get them comfortable in that setting as well. Changing body posture tremendously affects how a dog is feeling.
And you're talking about your body posture?
Yes. Changing our approach, changing how we're interacting with them. Little things that we do that's normal human behavior, like smiling at a dog or leaning down towards a dog, can be scary to them. So it's just learning how to interact with them that makes them feel more comfortable can make a tremendous difference.
So do you have to train your daycare employees? So what are the bad habits they come in with that you train?
I would say the number one is approaching a dog head on, walking straight towards a dog to another dog. Like when a dog walks towards another dog head on, that's actually an assertive behavior. So it can be very intimidating when you're being approached head on as a dog. As a person, it's totally natural to just want to walk up to something and bend down and pet them and be facing forward. But to a dog, that can actually be a little scary. So we teach our staff to turn their bodies sideways when they're approaching dogs, also to lower their body posture so that they're not standing over the dog. So those two things are very helpful. Also, breaking eye contact with dogs is very helpful as well. That's something that they do with each other. Dogs don't stare at each other like that. They don't have direct eye contact. They break it and then they look back and break it and look back. So we do that with the dogs as well.
Do you train your pet owners some of this stuff too, or?
We do. It's more general. It's not as in-depth as it is with our staff, but we definitely go over, this is what your dog is saying right now, this is how you can change how he's feeling, things like that. So
you had an experience where you have recently come from a different practice. Do you feel like anything, like the whole idea that this is fear-free, is anything different to you? Is there anything that you had to do differently? And how would you contrast those two experiences?
That's really good. I have a lot about that. I saw tremendously different things as far as appointments go here and how they handle the dogs for appointments. I love everything about how they do it. I love their approaches. I love how they handle the dogs. Every single dog gets offered treats if they're allowed to have that. I don't see clinics do that very often. So that was wonderful to see, and the dogs responded so well to that. It was just beautiful. Just watching the dogs come and go. I did a lot of shadowing when I was new and just watching the different departments and watching the dogs come and go through their appointments and be relaxed almost the entire time. That is not something you see at clinics. It's just not. So it was really neat to see that.
What was the thing that you were used to seeing that was?
A lot of fear. As soon as they enter the treatment area, anywhere that involves medical things, you know, they associate that feeling with the room. So as soon as they enter the room, they start to show those signs of fear. I just didn't see that as much here. When they would walk into the room, they were cool. They were all right. So yeah.
What is the number one thing that you have changed since you came here? Is there anything like that oh, I was doing over there and now I learned something here?
Like as far as my interaction with dogs?
Or clients and the whole
clients.
effort to make it fear-free?
Not a lot. I think my number one thing that has been emphasized, that I already had, but it was definitely emphasized here, was offer anything that you possibly can to help the client behaviorally. Anything that you can do, offer as many services as you can to be able to meet their needs. And if you can't meet their needs, have somebody lined up that you can send them to and refer them to. So basically try to have the answer if you can. That's something that's really big here, and it's really been fun to embrace that.
When you have a client come in with a pet and you've done all of the normal fear-free stuff that those first little things, and the dog is still agitated, what's your next step?
So you've tried all the things that you've done and the dog is still concerned with
Right.
the situation. That's very case by case. It depends on the situation. So sometimes what helps is just changing the environment if you can. So if you're having an issue with a dog in a certain place and they're just really stressed, try to move to another room and see if that helps them relax. So
I'm going to go back to my list here. Now, you work exclusively with dogs, or you do any cat?
I've done cat work too, yes.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about dogs. What are your plans for cats, and do you see any path where you could make a fear-free veterinary visit for a cat?
For a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff already for cats, which is pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
They use the Feel Away pheromone spray on the towels that they put over the crates for the cats to try to help them relax.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing too that I noticed when I was shadowing the exams, is some of the cats are pretty relaxed too. And they really take their time with working with the cats. So they allow the cats to calm down before trying to do things with them. So yeah, as far as behaviorally, like behavior modification and things with cats, I would love to be able to offer that to clients if they're having problems with their cats, to be able to go into their homes and work with them, yeah.
So the cat acclimation thing is very interesting to me, and I think we're sensing that we're going to get some resistance about but can you talk a little bit, let's talk first about what the cat acclimation is, and then maybe we can talk next about, like, oh, I don't have the time to do that, oh, it seems like it's going to, wreck the whole schedule, then I have to buy the cat whatever stuff. So what does that look like in an exam room or if they're coming into the veterinary practice at all?
Well, one thing in the exam room is when they bring the cat in, put the cat in the carrier on the table or on the floor and just open the door and allow the cat to approach when the cat is ready.
Yeah.
We definitely like to do that if we can. So give them as much time to exit the carrier, as they need.
You're humming.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I need to be quiet. Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
Okay. So that's one thing I see in the exam room. In treatment, when they have the cats back there, I really like seeing them, the staff, do different ways to get the cat out of the crate if they need to. They take the whole top of the crate off and remove the cat that way. They have these little wraps that they do with the towels to relax the cat. Cats love to be covered up when they're nervous, so they really, really accommodate with that as well, and they cover them up, and they're just, they just go slow, just go slow with them. Take your time. So it's really neat to see.
So the go slow, that time element is scary. It's scary to give up the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's scary to think about what's happening in schedule. It's scary. I'm in the exam room with this cat, and there's another cat that's going to be coming in a few minutes. How do you respond to people who say, oh, I just don't have the time to do that?
Like clients or staff?
Staff who say, we don't have the time to do this cat
Yeah,
activation.
unfortunately I don't do that. I'm not really in that department very much, so that'd probably be a good question for like a veterinary assistant or a vet tech who, I was only in there for a week, so I have very little experience with that.
What do you see the value in the cat acclimation as?
The value of taking your time?
Yeah.
I mean, you're allowing the cat to move at the cat's pace.
Mm-hmm.
So that is always a plus, to give the animal control over their, and more control over their environment, and allow them to choose when they want to do things. That's the whole concept of all the behavior work that we do. Give the animal a choice and give them time to choose. Yeah.
So what is the number one fear-free tip that you say all veterinary practices should start doing tomorrow, or 3, or whatever?
Well, give them the time to choose, give them the time to relax, and offer food, you know, to anyone and everyone that you can. It's amazing what a difference that makes, offering them something to eat. It completely changes their emotional state. It gives them something else to think about while these things are happening to them. It's time consuming, but boy, it makes a huge difference, huge difference.
Is there one fear-free tip that you really thought, oh, this is really going to work, and it didn't?
Not that I can think of. Mm-mm.
Is there anything that has been the most valuable, like little tiny change? Like you notice the sound of the door bothers an animal, or can you think of any like situation where you kind of had an aha moment? I mean, specific animals, like, oh, this animal came in and I just was tuned into what it was experiencing and changed something.
Like an exact scenario?
Uh-huh.
Well, it actually happened today. We did a temperament test on a dog who wanted to start daycare, and she noticed the ceiling fans, and that was scary to her. So she saw the ceiling fans that were moving, so we turned everything off, we turned all the fans off, and started to redirect her verbally, so just giving her some love, walking her away from where the fans were, playing with some toys. She completely got over it. So, yeah.
I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to check back through a list and make sure I've not missed anything. So I'll wrap back around, okay?
Okay, we had a focus group at a veterinary conference recently, and one of the doctors was really, you could tell she'd been decades as a practice owner, and you could tell she was really frustrated with this fear-free stuff, talking about how to get these dogs less inclined to bite and be fearful in the practice. But she's like, I don't have control over these people basically mishandling the behavior of their animal at home. So she was talking about especially these little mini dogs that people would carry around. And so I carry this dog around, and this dog snaps and bites everyone but me. And so there are clients who are not compliant with behavior and training. What do you do in situations where, or maybe you haven't in the situation you are with the daycare, where clients don't seem to want to comply with what's needed to make the dog more calm around other animals and more calm around other people?
That's tricky. I have learned that changing wording really helps. Try to explain it to the owner in a way that makes sense to them. So sometimes you just have to change the way that you're explaining things and try to make it understandable and relatable to them to really see what they're not seeing. And talking about body language helps as well, and trying to help them see what their dog is actually saying. Sometimes it's just misinterpreted. You see one thing and you think they're feeling this way, when in reality it's actually completely opposite. So just trying to open their eyes to that usually is effective.
Do they always believe you, or do you sometimes get pushback from people who are like, who don't? Are you always accepted as the expert?
There's always pushback. I mean, that happens, it happens, but it's not common for sure.
What are the most common pushback phrases?
I have very little pushback experience, so, which I guess is a good thing, but I can't think of anything that has struck out where an owner was just like, I completely disagree. So I guess that's good.
Can you describe a little bit about what makes, I noticed the Montessori name is here on the puppy daycare. What makes this kind of training and daycare Montessori?
Well, the very open and free style of training. It is, Montessori is a free learning. It's not structured. It's not a set curriculum, and that is exactly what we are embracing here. We don't have A, B, C, and D that we're going to do with every single dog and teach them these 4 or 5 things. We want to do whatever the owner wants to do. The owner tells us, these are the things I'd like to fix, these are the things I like, and we go from there. So that's why we've chosen to use that Montessori term.
And does that also work, in fact, with a room full of dog owners, or is that more one-on-one?
The training part?
Is it Montessori for every part? So when there's a group of dog owners that come in, is it still Montessori or is it more structured on a curriculum?
It's all Montessori, everything. I mean, the classes are somewhat structured, but we definitely want to stick with what the owner wants to do. That's all that matters, is what they want. So we would do everything that we can to tailor the lessons and the curriculums around what the owner needs, for sure.
Start us out.